Hi, everyone. Welcome to another lecture on love. We started this series with lectures on subhuman loves, so loves directed to things that are not human, like love of country, for example. Then we moved on to human loves properly understood according to C.S. Lewis's categories. So, love between human persons. We looked especially at friendship love and at romantic love. Now, for the remainder of this series, we'll be turning towards the third theme or unit: divine love or spiritual love, religious love, whatever that means. And the first theme of this final unit will be spiritual longing or spiritual desire as a form of love. Here we go. Um, like a couple of times b- before, this lecture will be split into part one and part two with a short break in the middle. The theme is spiritual desire. What is it? Why is it important? If you have not listened to Brooke Fraser's song called the C.S. Lewis song, please press pause and listen to it now. Think about the question: what is it? What is the song about? So press pause, listen to it now, or re listen to it now. If you have read Surprised by Joy, try and remember, what does joy in this title, Surprised by Joy, mean? The short answer is it means spiritual desire. So when Lewis says joy with a capital J, he means spiritual desire as a form of love. Also, what is the argument Lewis makes in the essay, the very short essay, A Meditation in a Tool Shed? What is the distinction that he makes there between looking at and looking along a sunbeam? Finally, where in the Surprised by Joy does Lewis make a similar distinction using different terminology? And how did that distinction help Lewis as an atheist to better understand this phenomena and experience that he later coined or called joy with a capital J? Our previous lecture was called Erotic Disagreements, and we looked at Lewis's serious disagreement with Anders Nygren, who represents a different Christian understanding of love. Now, today's lecture, is almost round two of that disagreement. We continue with our erotic disagreements today. You may remember from the letter to Janet Spence, who lent Lewis her copy of Nygren's book Agape and Eros. Lewis wrote, "You will have begun to wonder if your Agape and Eros was lost forever. It is an interesting book. I am inclined to think I disagree with him. His central contrast, that agape is selfless and eros self-regarding, seems at first unanswerable. But I wonder if he is not trying to force on the conception of love an antithesis, which is the precise nature of love in all its forms, to overcome." Despite his criticism of what he calls Nygren's central contrast here, or his main thesis, that agape is unselfish and eros, or human love, is selfish, Lewis ends this letter with a resolution: "However, I must tackle him again. He has shaken me up extremely." It's remarkable that Nygren is not mentioned in the Four Loves by name, when the very first pages of the book are so critical of Nygren's main thesis in agape and eros. Walter Hooper, Lewis's secretary, said that Lewis went on to considering the relation of agape and eros for years. And in the Four Loves, Lewis discusses them under the names gift love and need love, using eros to mean sexual love. These two concepts, need love and gift love, are introduced on the very first page of the Four Loves. And it's their non-antithetical nature that pits Lewis firmly against Nygren's understanding of love. And this is the second remarkable fact of the Four Loves. Lewis's critique of Nygren's main contrast, the denigration of eros or all human love, and its separation from agape or divine love, is done without using the words eros and agape in the Nygrenian sense at all. Many scholars have noted the proximity to, but eventual rejection of, Nygren's central contrast. Now, is need love here a perfect translation of Nygren's eros? I don't think it's perfect, insofar as need captures one dimension of Nygren's eros. The pairing of the two is perhaps helpful. Lewis's letters are pretty clear about this. You may remember from his letter to his friend Mary van Dusen, the great merit of Nygren, so far as I'm concerned, was that he gave one a new tool of thought. It is so very convenient and illuminating to be able to talk and therefore to think about the two elements of love as eros and agape. You notice that I say elements. That is because I think he drives his contrast too hard and even talks as if the one could not exist where the other was. Maternal affection, even among animals, has the dawn of agape. So, in a queer way, has even the sexual appetite. For each sex wants to give pleasure as well as to get it. So, he later continues, Nygren's eros and agape gave me a good load of thought, a useful classification instrument, though I don't think his own use of that instrument very profitable. It's pretty clear that Lewis is here by tool of thought and classification instrument, thinking of agape and eros primarily in terms of what Lewis called Nygren's central contrast between selfless love and self-regarding love. And that the concepts that Lewis later adopted to carefully discuss this central contrast, what is anticipated here in the letter, are indeed the concepts need love and gift love. However, need love and gift love in Lewis and eros and agape in Nygren are also very different. They're not perfect translations. Hopefully, your head is not spinning more than usual. My simple point here is just to say that Lewis's need love is not synonymous with Nygren's eros. In many ways, the two are actually quite unlike. For example, need love is a good element of human love, and gift love is a natural element of human love, according to Lewis. Contra Nygren, need love is not sinful, and gift love is not supernatural. If need love is not a perfect translation of Nygren's eros, is there a better translation? One that captures more of Nygren's eros than does need love. When we take Nygren's eros and we drop it into Lewis's vocabulary of love, and we look carefully, Where does it land? I wonder if you can guess what my proposal will be or hypothesis. I believe it lands very close to Lewis's understanding of spiritual longing or joy. And this is another important question on which Nygren and Lewis and their corresponding Christian understandings of love disagree. In the German-speaking world, this experience of spiritual desire is known as Sehnsucht, but readers of Lewis know it simply as joy. Not to be confused with a lowercase joy or simply happiness. Joy with a capital J is something technical, something precise. It is a theological experience of spiritual desire. Nygren is very suspicious of this desire. It's not to be, or this experience, it's not to be trusted. He believed that all longing and all desire falls under the egocentric and self-righteous eros. Even that love for God, which means yearning desire for God, Gottes Sehnsucht, is essentially an expression of man's longing and pining. John Burnaby, whose book we talked about in the previous lecture, says, where others see a preparatio evangelica, Nygren is more disposed to find a preparatio demonica. So where others see this experience as a preparation for the gospel, Nygren thinks it is a threat and an enemy of the gospel. They couldn't disagree more. You remember Nygren's eros has three main elements. First, eros is the love of desire or acquisitive love. Second, eros is man ways to the divine. And third, eros is egocentric love. And agape is the reverse of all three. Now, the eros Nygren distrusted and the joy that fascinated Lewis all his life and prepared the way for his conversion have surprisingly much in common. Next, what I'll do is I'll briefly introduce Lewis's joy for you, what he calls a kind of love. This will form the foundation for a more systematic three-step analysis, comparative analysis between Nygren's eros and Lewis's joy, according to these three elements of Nygren's eros. First, joy as a kind of love. The joy in the title Surprised by Joy is a technical term for a desire or a longing for joy beyond the offerings of the natural created world. This is sometimes described as ecstatic wonder or causeless melancholy. Joy is the bittersweet pursuit of the unattainable in the guise of the attainable. Lewis writes in Surprised by Joy, early childhood experiences of beauty taught me longing, Sehnsucht. And many others have said the same. Therefore, spiritual longing is a rather childish idea. But that joy related to God somehow, Lewis didn't know until years after his early experiences of this love. It took him years to understand what it was about. Now, to begin to contrast this with Nygren's eros, the first obvious question is joy a love in the first place? Is it a love at all? Why call it a love? This passage from Surprised by Joy is a really good starting point. There was no doubt that joy was a desire, and insofar as it was also simultaneously a good, it was also a kind of love. This remark, made almost in passing in Lewis's spiritual autobiography, is full of possible implications. First, what does Lewis mean by good? Second, what kind of love is at stake? It's a kind of love when it's good, but what kind of love? And then to say that insofar as joy is a good implies that it's not always a good thing. It's not always good. So, what does bad joy look like? And how do you purify your spiritual desire if it's somehow gone sour? To be called love, the thing in question, so here, joy as desire, must be good, says Lewis. And so, because Nygren's eros is actually not good, according to Lewis, it's almost anti love, Lewis would probably not call it a love at all. And yet, he says in the Four Loves that he had to call need love love. He could not deny need love the name love because need love or needfulness was something good, according to his understanding. Need love, like all elements of love and all types of love, can also become corrupted, though. However, unlike Nygren's eros, Lewis's joy is potentially a kind of love. End of part 1. You may turn to your second handout. Let's turn to part 2, spiritual desire. The first element of Nygren's threefold eros was eros is the love of desire or acquisitive love. Now let's begin comparing and contrasting this with Lewis's joy. But first of all, is joy need? Is it gift? Is it appreciative love? Or a combination of the three? How does joy fit in this tripartite understanding of the essence of love? Well, in joy, when we experience this, our heart is responding to some fundamental need in us, some emptiness. So joy is deeply a need love. Joy is human longing for something that was either lost or has not yet been given. But there's a paradox here, because God is the cause of this experience. So, joy as our need love is God's gift love to us. Joy is what Lewis felt or experienced when God's love touched him and gave him a foretaste or a hint of some heavenly bliss. Bliss meaning something deeply satisfying, meaningful happiness, if you will. Appreciative love was the non-possessive appreciation of the value of the beauty or goodness in the loved thing or the loved person. And let me quote from the Four Loves. This is from the first chapter. It, meaning appreciative love, is the feeling which would make a man unwilling to deface a great picture, even if he were the last man left alive and himself about to die. which makes us glad of unspoiled forests that we shall never see, which makes us anxious that the garden or bean field should continue to exist. We do not merely like the things, we pronounce them in a momentarily godlike sense very good. In other words, we say in appreciative love, it is good that you exist or that thing exists. This is the first thing you remember what I love you means. And joy is clearly appreciative and value-based in this sense. It doesn't create value in its objects, as Nygren's agape supposedly does, but rather it recognizes and celebrates and appreciates the value that already exists, the beauty that already exists in the beloved object or person. It's paying homage to their goodness. So joy and Nygren's eros are both value-based, but not precisely in the same way. The difference is very important. What about joy's relation to the physical world around us? This reveals to us what the difference is. Nygren spoke about three kinds of erotic relations to the created world, to nature or food or sex or whatever. Vulgar eros, heavenly eros, and Catholic or Augustinian eros. As for vulgar and heavenly, a vulgar relationship to nature or sex or whatever worships and idolizes the world. A heavenly or an ascetic eros holds the world in contempt. So they're opposite. Pagan love feasts or orgies would exemplify the first, and Plato's symposium would exemplify the second with its heavenly ladder. Now, Lewis agrees with neither and says that neither can be squared with Christianity, which forbids both worship and contempt of creation. And this is the third Augustinian or Catholic position, that neither worships nor demonizes the things in the world. It appreciates everything without worshiping anything but God or demonizing anything. And Lewis's understanding of spiritual desire of joy fits this third relation. Joy doesn't find its ultimate fulfillment in nature, in the natural world, but neither is it contemptuous of it. It neither idolizes nor demonizes the mediums of joy. So that's the difference. Nygren is unhappy with this supposed solution because he thinks that it too involves desire, which it does. But there is no such thing as a desire that is simply good, in his opinion. Like, desire itself is contaminated, and it will contaminate every kind of relation. Whereas Lewis would side with Augustine's position. And I quote from Augustine: "Desire is the mark of the creature. It is grounded in God's own will and plan. So, far from being evil and reprehensible, desire is in the highest degree good and praiseworthy, inasmuch as it gives expression to our actual position as created beings. In fact, God has created us such that we must desire, must love, and long for something." For Nygren, also desire is the mark of the creature, but only the fallen or sinful creature. desire is natural in this sense, but there's nothing neutral about it, let alone good or praiseworthy. And for Lewis, however, desire is a kind of a signpost. It points toward something. These longings and desires that were stirred by nature and other catalysts eventually would lead him to God. The second element in Nygren's eros is that it is egocentric love. Here we focus on a desire as pursuit of happiness as a form of egocentric love. In a nutshell, all the conclusions that we reached in our previous lecture on erotic disagreements regarding love's relationship with happiness apply also here. You remember that Nygren's accusation could be broken into 4 claims. 1, eros pursues individual happiness, and 2, this pursuit is morally tainted because 3, it is possessive and selfish, incapable of agapic sacrifice, and 4, it uses objects of love as a means to happiness. How does 4 how does joy fare against this fourfold accusation? Well, again, except for the first, it's impossible to square them. Yes, Lewis would agree that joy pursues individual happiness more than that, but he would not agree with the second, third, and fourth claim. Lewis says that nothing is created in vain in the world or human nature. And what he means by this is that, well, we experience hunger. There is such thing as food. We experience thirst. There is such a thing as drink. We are horny and lusty. Sex exists. These desires don't prove that we'll ever eat or we'll ever drink or we'll ever get laid, but it does indicate that we are created beings that sustain themselves and to some extent pursue and long for these things. Now, when we desire something that nature cannot satisfy, that poetry, that beauty, that music, that even sex can't satisfy, Lewis thinks that it means, since nothing is created in vain, it means that we are actually desiring something supernatural. And so the human goal towards which we are by nature oriented is flourishing or simply happiness. Humans are created for meaningful happiness, and we are unhappy and uncontent, discontent and unsatisfied until we achieve it. Now, in one sense, happiness is a byproduct of the experience of joy. In another sense, joy is the longing for fulfillment in a very intense and meaningful way, because it's our inborn desire for God, who, according to Lewis, gives the only happiness there is, and union with the divine nature is bliss. The pursuit of joy and the pursuit of happiness are actually one and the same thing. Remember that Nygren is not interested in what kind of happiness is sought. The problem for him was the pursuit of happiness itself, which, like all desire, is egocentric, possessive, and selfish. Spiritual longing as well, Gottessehnsucht, he says, only seeks to possess God, to own God somehow, to benefit from him and use him. And that's it. Joy is happiness seeking, the very drive itself. But here the similarities between Lewis's joy and Nygren's eros seem to end, because, as mentioned, Lewis refuses the jump from one to two. His type of Christian understanding of human nature doesn't allow it. In Lewis's sermon, The Weight of Glory, which you may have read, we learn that the accusation that desire for one's fulfillment or happiness is somehow wrong has crept into Christian thinking from outside. This is remarkable because what Lewis is actually saying here is that a Nygrenian suspicion of desire and of happiness seeking is unchristian. He kind of turns the tables. They couldn't disagree more. Now, the third element in Nygren's eros. Lewis had hoped, as he explains in Surprised by Joy, that the heart of reality could be symbolized as a place, meaning Eden or paradise or heaven. Instead, I found it to be a person with a capital P. The third feature of Nygren's eros is human endeavor towards God. And for this, let's revisit Lewis's letter to Janet Spence. You have it in your handout. Notice that each of the two main paragraphs presents a different contrast within Nygren's overall juxtaposition of agape and eros, with which Lewis is inclined to disagree. The first contrast in the first paragraph is the contrast between selfless love and selfish love. The antithesis, Lewis says, is artificially forced, but he doesn't elaborate more in this letter. He later picks up the point in the Four Loves with his gift love and need love distinction. But the second contrast is in the second paragraph, the second contrast between agape and eros. It has nothing to do with the first contrast. The second contrast is between God active coming to man passive, which is Nygren's agape, and active man by desire ascending to God qua passive object of desire, which is Nygren's eros. So one comes down, the other goes up. Lewis again disagrees. He thinks Nygren is making two different but interconnected mistakes here. And the first mistake is the philosophical mistake, the real answer. Nygren has failed to understand desire from within. He has not looked along desire, has looked at desire. In desire is one totally active and the other totally passive. For example, is the desire totally active and the desired totally passive? Nygren believes so. Lewis appeals to experience, even on our human level. In real life, activity and passivity mix in desire, he says. The second mistake is the theological or the religious mistake, the most important mistake. Lewis appealed to human relations, to relations between human persons, even on our human level, to underscore a truth that he thinks applies vertically too, between the God-human relation. According to Nygren, pre-Christian and non-Christian religions depict God as wholly passive and humans as wholly active. And according to Nygren, Christianity reverses this. We as humans have no agency. God does everything. Lewis disagrees. He says there's no contradiction. He says that we really do desire God and heaven, and this is a good thing. But we cannot get to him without help. Human persons can aspire and respond to God's love without supposing we can save ourselves. He uses the analogy of a drowning man. Somebody is drowning, and the person standing on the banks firmly is able to pull up the drowning man and save that man. In a way, without the person helping, the man would have died. But it doesn't mean that the drowning man can do nothing, can not even yell for help, or cannot even grab back the hand that is offered. Lewis doesn't believe activity and passivity in the act of desire, in the act of saving a person in a spiritual sense, is an either or question. Now let's summarize finally the similarities and the differences between Nygren's eros and Lewis's joy. Is joy a purified eros? A very short detour first into Lewis's cosmic trilogy, because we find two kinds of longings there. If anyone has read the cosmic trilogy, you know that the second part is called Perilandra, which means Venus. The story happens on the planet Venus. Lewis's stepson, Douglas Gresham, has said of this trilogy that whereas other authors thought evil aliens posed a threat to humans, Lewis inverses this dynamic and says, no, just based on how we've treated our colonial, colonies, based on how we misuse and abuse power, there's a great danger and risk, which is probably more probable, that we are the threat to others, and that our corrupted power will corrupt others as well. So this was a very peculiar and maybe refreshing inversion of the genre at the time. Now, in the first book, Out of the Silent Planet, we read of these intelligent creatures who live on Mars called Hrossa. And they talk about two kinds of longing. Now, let me read. There were two verbs which both meant to long or yearn. But the Hrossa drew a sharp distinction, even an opposition between them. Everyone would long for it, wondelone, but no one in his senses would long for it, lutherline. Here we see the good joy and the bad joy. Mondelone is proper and meaningful spiritual desire or longing in general, and lutherline is somehow bent or corrupted. Desire, spiritual longing, can go wrong in two ways. Either you can seek fulfillment in the wrong way, or seek fulfillment in the wrong objects. Now, both are implicit here. The unfallen race, the Hrossa, don't stubbornly seek to possess the beauty they see. This would be the wrong way. Nor do they seek ultimate fulfillment in created things. This would be the wrong objects. Created things that are merely pointers to something beyond them. And when desire is purified The purification takes place on both of these fronts, both in the way we desire and what we desire. So Lewis agrees with Augustine, who says, desire is not to be rooted out, but purified and directed to the right objects. With this, we can return and finish our summary. The first contrast between eros and agape mentioned in Lewis's letter was that the central contrast between selfless and selfish loves. Lewis says that human love in all its forms is the overcoming of this central contrast, the antithesis between selfless and self-regard in love. And spiritual longing, insofar it's good, is also a kind of love. So it follows that by its very nature, then, spiritual longing too is the overcoming of this central contrast. As for the second contrast, joy also overcomes it. The contrast between a supposedly holy, active or passive God versus a wholly active or passive human being. In one sense, it seems that there's nothing similar between the two, between Lewis's joy and Nygren's eros. Nothing that is without qualifications. Nygren's eros, Lewis thinks, is a caricature, an abstract idea about love that doesn't really capture our lived experience, just like Nygren's agape is an abstract caricature of excellent love that Lewis doesn't ascribe to. It follows logically then that joy can't be a synonymous translation of Nygren's imagined eros, because joy is something real and Nygren's eros is something unreal. Rather, it would be better to say that joy is a qualified and purified version of Nygren's eros. But this is the same as saying that joy is Nygren's eros in all three ways, but with a little twist. The twist, the differences that remain between the two help us, they highlight what Lewis thought was wrong in Nygren's understanding of spiritual desire. First, Lewis's joy, like Nygren's eros, is love of desire and value-based or value-directed. Instead of bestowing value on its objects, it perceives and it appreciates the value or beauty that already exists. But unlike eros, joy in its appreciation does not worship or demonize created things. With some help, joy may come to see the true nature of created things and thus neither idolize nor vilify them. Second, moving on to Nygren's second dimension in eros, joy, like Nygren's eros, is actually the pursuit of happiness. But it's neither calculating nor instrumental, using the beloved or the mediums of joy in some kind of calculating sense. The human self is present, yes, but not mere selfishness. Our very being is pierced by this God-given desire fulfillment. And this desire shouldn't be denied or downplayed by bad theology, according to Lewis. And then finally, joy, like Nygren's eros, is human endeavor toward God. Yes. But unlike Nygren's eros, joy isn't delusionally self-sufficient, thinking it can save itself. In the vertical relation between humans and God, the initiative always lies with God. But the human person is not a robot, not a wholly passive tube. We can play a responsive role. So unlike Nygren, Lewis resists solving the paradox of God's rule and human responsibility in one or the other direction fully. Lewis's religious mindset could be described as a both and mindset instead of an either or one. As we've seen, applies especially to his ideas of love. In the end, he says that we can keep Nygren's idea of eros and agape after we have let all his exaggerations fade out of our minds. Lewis had curious respect for Lewis, curious given all the disagreements he had for him. The respect, why I think he respects Nygren is for several reasons. Not only because he doesn't criticize Nygren publicly, or the fact that he doesn't criticize Nygren publicly implies perhaps some respect despite the disagreement. And I propose a few reasons why. The first being leaving Nygren out explicitly, not naming him in The Four Loves, for example, is a literary strategy. Why give publicity to an author who you think muddies the waters? Secondly, I propose that Lewis actually was grateful to Nygren. Nygren had shaken him up, yes, but Lewis can look back with gratitude. And by the time he writes The Four Loves, he's earned his academic spurs. He's at the top of his Christian maturity. He has nothing to show or prove. He can afford to assimilate the good that he learned and forego the bad. Finally, I think that Nygren helped Lewis remain humble, because Lewis may have never clearly resolved the religious implications of his spiritual longing. Elsewhere in his works, and I'm thinking of The Problem of Pain here, Lewis qualifies his defense of spiritual desire with a reservation. Such is my opinion, and it may be erroneous. Lewis's friend Austin Farrer writes, "Is romantic yearning an appetite for heaven, or is it the ultimate refinement of covetousness?" So, spiritual greediness. One cannot but respect his sense of responsibility in voicing his doubt about what so deeply moved him. Lewis, however, was confident that yearning, this spiritual desire, for him at least, had been a preparation for God, had been a preparatio evangelica. Nygren's warnings about it perhaps helped him curb his confidence from swelling into overconfidence. I committed a fallacy. I wonder if you raised your eyebrows, if you wrote WTF in your notes. Where was it? And which one was it? We have committed almost half on this list. Well, not quite.